This CES coverage is sponsored by Richard Sounds Manchester. Call 0333 900 0086 for the best prices and expert advice for TVs, AV and Hi-Fi.
Hello everyone, Vincent Teo from HDTV Test here. I'm standing beside the LG 48-inch CX OLED television, and I'm going to go through the user menu to show you what's new. So if we summon the user menu, we'll go into the picture mode. Obviously, me being me, I've pre-selected the most accurate picture mode. But if we go into the picture mode, you will see that there will be a new Filmmaker Mode, because the company has obviously joined the Filmmaker Mode movement that is initiated by the UHD Alliance. And interestingly, you can see that the Filmmaker Mode is labeled in all capitals, and apparently this is a requirement by the UHD Alliance before they will allow any brand to use the Filmmaker Mode. And there are two ways you can implement a Filmmaker Mode from the point of view of the manufacturer. The first way is through metadata which may be present in the content, and currently there are no content that contains this metadata yet. Another way would be to provide a direct access button on the remote control to trigger the Filmmaker Mode, and manufacturers have a choice of whether to use the metadata auto detection or the direct access button, and LG has decided to go with the metadata detection. So also you can see that the Technicolor mode has been replaced by the Filmmaker mode. So for all intents and purposes, the Filmmaker mode will be very similar to the Technicolor mode, but the Technicolor mode will have a slightly different white point, whereas the Filmmaker mode will be using the D65 white point. So since it's novel, we might as well go into Filmmaker mode and try and see the settings that are in the picture preset. So I'm going to show you, first of all, the black frame insertion, because last year LG also demonstrated the 120Hz black frame insertion, or what I call the variable intensity black frame insertion, or BFI, but it was actually pulled at the last minute. So this year I'm happy to report that at least at this moment in time it is present in the user menu. So if we go into True Motion, if we go into user, you can see that under OLED Motion Pro you can toggle it such that it can adjust the frame to be either low, medium or high. High would be similar to the black frame insertion full-on mode on previous OLED televisions, but hopefully the medium and low settings will allow users to gain extra motion clarity without motion artifacts through the use of black frame insertion at a lower intensity. And interestingly, you can see that in the True Motion menu, there has been a slight relabeling of the various options. I think previously this was called True Motion Clear, but now it is Cinema Clear. And then there's Natural and Smooth as well. And I'll be testing this hopefully when I receive a review sample. Other things that may be interesting to you is that, again, I think the font has changed. It is a much cleaner, much more modern font, and I normally would like to insert a font joke at this moment, but I'm not bold enough. So I am struggling here because of my voice. I don't know whether you can make out that my voice is breaking because of the dry Las Vegas air and the smoky hotel casino, and also trying to shout in videos over really loud background noises like what's happening now has really taken a toll on my larynx. So I'm going to stop right here, but I will pass the mic to Mr. Neil Robinson from LG USA, who will run through some of the gaming features on LG's 2020 OLEDs. Over to you, Neil.
Thank you, Vincent. So yeah, as Vincent said, I work for LG Electronics, based in Silicon Valley. And over the last 12 months, one of the features I've been working on is G-Sync, and focusing on gaming as a whole. We're proud to say that we're the only manufacturer so far that has been G-Sync certified for G-Sync over HDMI. It's a technology that's based on HDMI VRR, which is a 2.1 standard. But in order to achieve G-Sync certification, that's a guarantee of quality of experience, no flickering, frame drops, or things like that. we actually introduced this first on our 2019 TVs, all of our OLEDs, and now we're expanding that to the 2020 models. The big difference for 2020 is that we support up to 4K 120p, so the VRR range is from 40 to 120, whereas in the 2019 TVs it was limited to 60p at 4K resolutions. That was actually an HDMI limitation, so once we start to see HDMI 2.1 graphics cards coming out, we'll be able to still utilize up to 4K between 40 and 120 on the 2019 models as well. But now it's possible with HDMI 2.0 on the 2020 models. So the other change that it's not really a product change, but we're not quoting our input lag this time for 2020. And the reason for that is the theoretical maximum you could ever achieve with a 120 Hz panel like this is it would take 1/120th of a second to get from the top left corner to the bottom right corner, because the image is wiped from the top to the bottom each time. So the theoretical maximum you could ever achieve is 240th of a second to get to the center of the screen. That's 4.1, 4.2 milliseconds, something like that. And we're now so close to that time that LG doesn't really want to get into a battle of, are we 5.1 or 4.8? Measurement error makes this incredibly difficult to measure. But the key takeaway points for OLED TV gaming is that there's no sacrifice in picture quality at all to achieve that low latency and variable refresh rate. We have the same HDR processing, the same tone mapping, the same calibration functionality, even though we've got that low latency. So this isn't just a great gaming display for a TV, it's a great gaming display full stop. It's the ultimate gaming display.
Thanks, Neil. I mean, you can replace my work on this channel, I'm sure. But thanks, everyone. Vincent out. That my voice is breaking because of the dry air in Las Vegas and the smoky.
While you're filming, you're subconsciously unscrewing that. We see it, you don't.
No, I don't. Maybe it will fall out again. I think it's broken already. Anyway, I'll just film very quickly.
All through the night, watching the stars in the city.